radio dial. It's a beautiful Friday morning. If those of you who are just tuning or have been tuning to NFM earlier, it's a station where you can get most of your information. And I suppose you're still logged in or you're still tuned in. This morning, it's your views. We've been off for a very long time. It just feels so strange here today because it's amazing how easy the human body adapts. After 21 days, I think habits are broken, and I suppose that habit has been of coming here every morning and every Friday morning and talking. It's not broken, but it's just sort of off. So I ask you to bear with me for me to get my act back together again. It's situations like this. We're living in a world where once was normal, and now it's chaotic, and I suppose it will come back again to being normal again. But what is normal? I suppose we have to adapt to certain situations, and right now we are in the adaptation process where we are trying to get a grip of what is happening. We're trying to see how we can control the spread of COVID-19. At the same time, we're trying to see how we can find some sense of normalcy in a chaotic situation. And for everybody, I think it's a problem. People are very emotional. Others are feeling like they're victims. There are people who have been depressed. It is just a series of uncontrollable emotions and situations. But I suppose with time, we're going to make that adjustment. And I do hope that when we can be patient in the meantime, and do hope that for the best, because we don't know when what is normalcy and when the world is going to return to a position where people can do what they're accustomed to do. And I think people look at customary things as normal things, and I suppose when that is disrupted, one has a problem of finding their own position, and that's what it is. My name is Sandra Quilly Atherton. This morning I'm acting normal. You're in tune to Your Views. Your Views is a program that is aired on Win FM every Friday when it is normal. It's a program where we can call in sometimes, like this morning you'll be able to do, and share your views on situations and circumstances and chaos or normalcies or whatever you want to talk about. This morning we're going to talk about how are we going to adjust in this time, because like I said, it's a time where we don't know where we are placed, the vaxxed and the unvaxxed. COVID-19, you have Delta, you have Alpha, Beta, Gamma. We don't know. It's just, like I said, it's just a situation that is so difficult for everybody. The NEOC have their hands full. That's the task force trying to see what they can do. You have people who are not working, who are suffering, and you have the government who have to come up with solutions. And in all this, there's a cost, and money is not happening. The tourism industry is seriously affected by this. It's a major source of income. Citizens are they're losing it sometimes, and we can understand the impatience, because at the end of the day, when you can't feed your family, it becomes a problem. But again, everybody has to take into consideration it's a situation where everybody has to seem to find their place. It's going to take some time. It's like playing musical chairs. I do hope that I find a chair and that I'm not one of those that have been you have to pull that chair, you have to pull yourself out because there's no chair for you. And it's like a roller coaster, and for me, I do not like heights. I do not like to be in motion that I can't control. And you feel like that now. You feel like you're in motion and you're spiraling down, and you can't seem to find any control. People are saying that only the poor man are feeling it. That's not true. Everybody is feeling it at this time. There's some people who benefit in crisis situation, and there's some people who suffer in crisis situation. If you're in a situation where this is the decision that you would have taken, and the situation is not conducive for your decision that you would have taken, then you'll be at a disadvantage. And these are the things that we have to take into consideration. This morning, I'm going to operate on an open line basis. But what I want control. This is not a voices program. This is your views. I want to make sure that when you call in, that your comments are constructive and people can find something what you would have said to apply. Because at this point in time, we need all hands on deck. We need everybody who have an idea or who sees things from not an emotional standpoint, but having an understanding or assessing the problem and have come to a conclusion where everybody can work with. So it's not about about just calling in and making statements that, I mean, we are complaining and we're going to always complain. I can complain. There's so much to complain about. But at the end of the day, you look at the situation and you ask, how am I complaining? How am I, how am I complaining? And what is it going to do? And it's the same thing that, you ask. It doesn't make sense. My mother used to tell me this all the time. It doesn't make sense. After you would have identified the problem, then you no longer have a problem. You have to start looking for a solution. And it's a lot of things that, I mean, a lot of times we wallow. Every morning we wake up and we complain about the same problem. But it's obvious that we understand what the problem is. It's now about finding a solution. And the solution is not in what people can do for you. At the end of the day, we all have to do for ourselves. And I think that is where we're at. The number you can call is 466-0989, 662-0989, and 762-0989. Those are the numbers you can call if you want to call in and you want to be a part of the program. We're going to discuss vendors. We are going to discuss the position. And I don't want it to become political, because people are always getting to that. It's about politics, about government. It's about party. We're not into party politics. I'm looking at the situation, and we're trying to see how we can find solutions. Okay, we have had situations. I'm going to talk about certain situations that we would have had, some of the information that I would have garnered, and I'm trying to see how I can bring some peace or understanding in what people are feeling and what government is doing, and the reaction of some people on the outside. I've had discussions with certain people who are affected by the situation, and I've asked some questions to the people who are in control of the situation. The vendors, from what I would have garnered, it is a situation that it's a problem that is being ongoing. It's an ongoing problem. And they know that. They understand that it's not just about coming into town and parking up a truck, or coming up in town and finding a space, or opening a tent and starting to sell. It is not that. There are some people who are complaining that, of course, yes, I have a letter from Sustainable Development stating that this is my position. But at the end of the day, it's not just this sustainable development. It's a procedure that you have to go in. You have to follow. It's a process. And from what I got is that the traffic department is involved, sustainable development is involved, and inland revenue is involved, because the process is you have to have a mobile license. Mobile means your vehicle or whatever you are selling from have to be able to move every single day. I know that because I was trying to help a young man who had a similar situation and me, with my emotions, thinking that everybody needs to eat. But at the end of the day, there are regulations and rules, and one have to understand that. And we see that everybody needs to eat, and if everybody's going to cook, then nobody's going to be buying your food. And it's becoming a situation that you see that in St. Kitts, where everybody think that food, cooking food and selling food is the solution to the problem. There's so many other areas that are untapped. And but everybody is finding themselves in a similar situation. We see that a lot of people, especially look at the Strip, a lot of people who are dependent on the tourism industry, that is not happening. And for people, an alternative to that, of course, if you're a cook, all you know is how to cook. So then you start to cook and you start to see how you can get your food sold. One of the things that people are doing now is that they're taking their food down on the streets and they're selling. Let me tell you how I feel about it, and this is my opinion. There are a lot of people who are not adhering to the rules and regulations. There are a lot of people who are not taking into consideration procedures when you are selling food on the side of the road. There are a lot of these vendors are bringing food into town and they're selling the food. There are no warmers there. There are no running waters on the vehicles or whatever they're using, the tents to wash hands and sanitize. We are in a situation right now where COVID is a problem, and we understand that if even the transactions are simple, people come, it doesn't have to take a long time. We understand now there's some variants out there that if you find yourself in a space with somebody who would have been there within a 16-hour window, you can contract the virus because you're inhaling. Now we realize, and this is what I've been saying for the longest while, we do not have enough information about COVID. We are learning as we go. So there's some information that are becoming available now that we didn't have before. And so you have to make adjustments as you go along. These are the simple things that you want people to understand. It's not that anybody have all of the information. COVID-19 is basically, it's a new thing. This pandemic is a new thing. you can't because viruses are different and they behave differently. You can it's no one size fit all. It's not everything you apply. The only thing is natural, where you can add, there's some natural plants that would help to build your immune system, because it's about building immunity, and your body is the one that is going to do the work. Your body is the one that's going to fight against the virus. So it doesn't matter what you do. At the end of the day, it comes down to proper nourishment, nutritional values, hygiene practice. These are the things that it comes down to. Some of the other things that you add that are non-pharmaceutical, the wearing of the mask and keeping your distances. These have proven for us in the first phase, it have proven to work. We've had 45 cases and we were doing well, we thought. Later on, we realized that after a year or so, we recognized that things, like I said, after there's certain mutation, the virus is going to do different things. Transmissibility would be easier, because the mutation of the virus, because they're smart, they recognize that you're trying. Like us, we are humans and we understand there's certain things that we, precautions that we have to take. There's certain times we have to make adjustments, and it's a similar situation with viruses. When they recognize that you're trying to stop them, because they depend on their host for survival, when they see that you're trying to stop, then they're going to mutate into something else. Just like when you're fighting a war, when you realize that your enemy is on you, or they recognize the garment that you're wearing, then you're going to change and you're going to try to fit in with the environment so that you would not be visible. And a lot of us, the ordinary man, doesn't have an understanding of this. And so we depend on the information that is coming out. Sometimes the information that is coming out is very complex for the ordinary person to understand. But again, it's the world that we are living in. We cannot cater to everybody's needs. And it doesn't matter what aspect of life, it is the same thing. We cannot cater to everybody's needs. Somebody's going to get left out sometimes. And then, of course, ego is another issue that I have. Impatience is another issue that we have. And emotions always run wild. And people do not think, you don't think constructively when there is a problem, especially when you are affected. So let's look at the situation about getting the vendors off the road. The procedures, what I was told, is that you have to apply people tend to go to the traffic. Traffic would send you to sustainable development. Sustainable development, when I spoke to Mr. Ferreira one time, he said they were in the process of getting regulations and in order to control what is happening, because they recognize that people are just doing what they want. One of the things is that when I asked him specifically, the vehicle has to be mobile. So nobody can stop you from coming into town early, finding a space, parking up and selling your produce, and then later on you leave if you have the necessary license. There are people who do not have that. I see people licensing vehicles that are not mobile, and I don't seem to understand, because in order for you to license your vehicle, again, there are procedures. You have to make sure that the vehicle is running, the tires are good. You have to go through that testing period. You have to come back with an assessment to show that your vehicle was assessed and it is in good condition. Then you go and you proceed to Inland Revenue and you can get a license for that vehicle. I'm seeing some vehicles that are not mobile, but yet they are licensed and insured. It's about beating the system. And a lot of times, that's what we try to do. We try to beat the system. And when the system realizes what is happening and the system fights back, then we have a problem. We behave as though we are the victims. But at the end of the day, we have to try to make sure that what we're doing, we are following the laws and the guidelines that are set forth. Okay, after you would have gotten that pass, you go to Inland Revenue. Sustainable development, I think that is one of the areas when I spoke to some of the vendors, sustainable development would have granted them permission to park in certain areas. There are other areas that you have to look at where health department comes into play. You must have running water. Those are some of the stipulations. Most of those vending trucks did no running water. And when we, as citizens and outsiders, would start to abuse and cuss the health department, cuss the police, because they are trying to protect us. They are making sure that the food that we consume, it is healthy. But we can't have, I don't think the government can hire a person for every area to man every area, make sure that we are complying. If we want things to run smooth and start blaming and looking at ourselves and we are finding where we are infringing, then things are going to be better. But don't try to fool the law. Don't try to get things work, because in desperation, we are going to do these things. We are all desperate. I am very desperate. And I wish the government can come up with a solution that can help me as a small business owner. It is difficult. There are lean times and there are hard times. And that is one of the reasons why when times are good, we have to make provisions for rainy days like these. Everybody is dependent on what the government can do for you. But you have to take into consideration that government depend on you too. Taxes. I've never seen this before. Somebody have to tell me where and when. In crisis situation, because sometimes we're not in crisis and we have taxes that are imposed on us. But now I realize government are actually, in trying to help, they are reducing taxes. As an unincorporated business owner, you move from 4% to 2%. The incorporated business owners, they have their tax cut in half. And that is what the government is trying to do, to accommodate us in times like these. And yet still, there's some people who are benefiting big time, because the supermarkets, for me, they're the ones who are benefiting, but yet still they're complaining. They're crying out, no money there. But when you look at the long lines and you ask the question, so who is benefiting? Who's making money then? Because if I have my money and there's no way to spend it, then I would always have money. The fact that I don't have money is mean that I'm spending it. So somebody is benefiting, but everybody is crying out and using this crisis situation to benefit. And then people are going to cry out, only this poor man will feel it. We as poor people have to understand. When I ventured into business, because I was a poor person, I needed some means and ways to pay my bills and support my children, like we all do. At the end of the day, when you get into business, you realize, okay, then I can make some money, I can put some money aside for situations. I mean, you can't prepare for situations like this because it's extended. 3 months, you can say 3 months down the line, I am good, okay, I have enough for 3 months. But after 3 months, you recognize, sure, this is becoming a problem. Like everybody else, the government is now recognizing it's been extended. The CBI program is taking a beating. The tourism sector industry that we heavily depend on, it's taking a beating. One of the good things that I've seen is agriculture. People are now getting into areas, and I envy those people who have their chicken, who are laying eggs, and their fields and farms that are producing foods. And we wonder, why didn't we think about that before? We are talking and we are looking at the end product where we can buy food and we can sell food. But people are now realizing that they can't buy food every day. And so they are cooking their own foods, and guess what they're buying? We recognize in order for us to boost our immune system, we have to start to eat natural foods. And so lots of people are now looking to the agriculture sector for the sweet potatoes, the yam, the dashings, the seasoned peppers, the green peppers, the herbs, the thyme. These are what people are looking for, the melons, the fruits, because people are now becoming aware that in order for you to survive or be strong during this COVID-19 situation, you have to boost your immunity. Boosting your immunity comes from eating properly. And so now they are looking forward to buying those things. So people are benefiting. The agriculture sector is now benefiting. We have a lot of work to do there, because we have to start looking at our own food security. For those of you who don't listen to the news, you have to start becoming tuned and not look at what's just happening in St. Kitts, because St. Kitts and Nevis' problem is not isolated to us. It is not our problem. It's a problem that the whole world is facing. Bigger countries than us are brought to their knees. And I must say, and I would say it loud and clear, and I would applaud the government for what they have done. Stimulus packages, I have a problem with it, but of course, because I'm not benefiting from it, of course, I would have a problem, because when you look at the situation that some can benefit and some can't. People are complaining that the government is rolling out stimulus packages, but they can't get it. Why? Because they have never contributed to the Social Security Fund. If you have not put in money in the system, then the system cannot help you. It's as simple as that. There are other areas where government try to help people who are non-compliance, non-compliant with the social security system. They can only do this much. And I'm not speaking for any government or against any. I am talking about the situation at hand, and I do hope that we can start looking at things from a rational standpoint and not being blinded by party politics, because it's posing a problem. There are people who are going out there and they're advocating, they're not taking the vaccination when they themselves would have done that. And I find it's hypocritical and it is wrong and it is bad. There are people out there who are trying to throw fire to the fuel. We have a call, so let's take this call. I think we would have lost that caller. I do hope that that caller can call back, and those of you who want to join, who want to be a part of the program, like I said, it's 7620989, 6620989, or 4660989. You can call into your views, that's the program, and you can talk about what you have been experiencing and see how we can come to some amicable or reasonable solution to the problems. People, like I said, we are operating off of emotion, and it is creating more problems than anything else. The whole world is in protest. Everybody is protesting. Why? People are fed up. But it is not something that most of these governments who are getting the backlash, it's not their fault. They themselves are trying to come up with solutions so that everybody can be comfortable. But you can't please everybody. You can't find a solution that everybody is going to benefit from. Somebody is going to place at a disadvantage. And we are asking that people, I am asking, because I'm living in St. Kitts and Nevis, and sooner or later, if you have sense and you're analytical enough, if you have a little bit of economic sense, you would realize more sooner than later government is going to raise taxes. Have to raise taxes because the government has to find a source of income. And with all crisis, we remembered we started paying VAT. Our electricity prices have been increased, utilities were increased. Those are government benefits, and the government was forced to do that. And we were not yet in a crisis. We were not in a pandemic of this nature, but things had to increase. We had to go to the IMF. We had to swap our lands for debt because government was in a situation where they needed money, and we were not having this crisis. People had to take haircuts. Those things have been happening long before now. So these are situations that we had to deal with, and we were not in a pandemic. We were not even in a crisis where we had a hurricane situation of that magnitude, but government would have found themselves in a situation. The CBI program is a program that we are heavily dependent on. The SIDF program was one that we were heavily dependent on. But the question is, how long? How long would these monies last? How long would we government can use up? After a while, it's not a bottomless pit. Fundings are limited. You can't just take out and not put in. I am questioning, I'm wondering where this government is finding the monies from. When you look at infrastructure development that's been happening, roadworks are continuing, you have surpluses, people are benefiting from it. I mean, I listened to a discussion with a bus driver. The government is offering $400. That's not government's responsibility. They found it in their hearts that let's see how we can subsidize and help. If you have to carry 10 or 5% passengers in your bus because of the crisis, it's what it is. You can find something to do in the interim. If your bus is not making, for me, if I can't get my ice cream sell because it's a problem, places are locked down, ice cream is not a necessity, and I have to find some alternative means of ways of supporting my children and meeting my obligations at the end of the month. We have a caller. Let's take this call. Caller, you're live on Your Views.
Sandra, good morning. How are you today?
I am wonderful. I'm awake and I can breathe.
Thank God for another day.
Yeah.
I hear you say something about you one day when the Prime Minister getting the money from. But when the Prime Minister say he have surplus, they say he boasting. So the Prime Minister not only showing them that what he was saying, he never lying. So I hear we see the IMF yet, right?
Well, I don't know yet. I don't know if they have talks or whatever. I know they haven't said that we are in the hands of IMF yet.
Okay. So only to show you what the Prime Minister was saying, he know what he was doing, the man to handle money. And some people blaming the government in saying it's what going on. But Sandra, the whole world going through this thing and people don't understand.
Yep.
On the radio complaining they work from last year, Lord Father God. Oh, he got people right, what's I'm thinking?
Yep.
The government, the prime minister trying all his best. I don't even know what to do. I can't praise him no more. People need to give thanks and take loan to take a little and live long. They want too much one time. Yeah, man, on the radio, they're saying about how she light bill and the gear reduction and change. You know, if you owe $10,000 and the prime minister over here 3 months and you're not paying, you're not see nothing. Some people don't satisfy and they don't give God thanks. And you ain't got no in this world, nobody who owe $5,000 and $6,000 light bill. You're cutting the light. The people only think that is too good. The government is to govern light and water. The height too good, Sandra.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them going on like they don't know how hungry go. People need to sacrifice and eat little what they got and give God thanks. Sandra, me could go to prices. Me know hungry go. Some of them going on like they never be hungry yet. Eh? Some of them want too much. You gotta take little right now and live long and save some for next day.
It's true.
Eh? Yeah. And just something when I hear them bawling on the radio, they don't work from last year. And even though you're saying you ain't work, it come like they're pointing finger on the government like it's his fault. It's Sandra. Oh my God, people are the tanks. Think it could have been worse than this. Eh? Look what's going on in Cuba this and all. And he's only the love of the prime minister what he's doing this, you know, the man is a good man, you know, the man know where he come from, you know. Sandra, when you see we are poor and know what you go through, your heart always goes to people.
It's true.
Most of the time. Prime minister raise up when you know where you know hungry go and he ain't gonna see his people them suffer and ball for hungry. He gonna cut there what little he got and he gonna make sure everybody gets a piece. But some people want too much. You gotta satisfy man and give God thanks. And I want to big up the prime minister and with the market and the vendors on the street, Sandra. Think it's street never designed for no vendor. This sidewall them is too narrow. People selling food on the road, they open up the pot, people passing and that's not nice. Huh?
Yep.
The sidewalls are jam up and squeeze up and they're selling food for people to eat. And it's a big deal because the prime minister get the market. Sunday you go down the market empty, nobody in the market. If the market is full, and some of them come on the street and I say, Murphy, but nobody in the market. Eh? They want things, the government has to do what it got to do. They're blocking up the sidewalk. I have a problem with that because sometimes I walk in, I either got to stop and let somebody pass, I have to step down. Eh? It's not right. Eh? People are the God thanks and give God the glory. Take little and live long and have faith in God. Everything gonna be okay. After a storm, there's a calm. Hope is an highway. Put all your trust in the Prime Minister. He's a good man. He's a helpful man. He's loving, caring, sharing. I never meet a man like that. I don't know where he come from in a Sandra.
Tabernacle.
Well, let me tell you something. Tabernacle a good man. A
I
good man
know.
come out of Tabernacle.
I
The
know.
Prime Minister. Sandra, this man don't watch no fear. And I'm saying it from me heart.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
When we were going to the campaign and I hear Timothy Harris, the Prime Minister, call out, the people were fighting him down. Oh, he gone with Pam and this and that. When I hear Prime Minister Harris say, I don't know how much people remember him say it, give me a chance and I will never let you down. And the man proved today, he proved to them he ain't laying down nobody. Lord, Father God, Prime Minister, bless you here and long live for you and long live for Team Unity government. And I please keep politics out of this thing because saying the Prime Minister part. He could have done play there. He could ignore them and say, why hang on the money and they he trying all his best. Lord, how much is Sandra Wayne want nothing better than this. Some places where one a Prime Minister look Harris. Long live Harris, you hear?
Yeah, thank you.
You have a blessed day. And people of St. Kitts Nevis, I give thanks. I don't have no trouble. I don't have no problem. All I need is faith in God. Hope is on the way.
Thank you.
After a storm, there will be a calm.
Thank you.
Bye, Sandra. You have a
You
blessed
do
day.
likewise. Thank you for your contribution. And the caller would have made a statement about the sidewalks and the situations happening on the sidewalks. And I don't know how sensible people, I'm going to use the word sensible, I don't know how sensible people can condemn what is happening at this point in time. The vendors, and she's right, the public market was designed for that. People are complaining. Of course, the roofs need fixing and there are other things that needs to do. These things have to be done and they're going to be done. But we have to make sure anybody, and it's a disadvantage. Why some people should go there and others should not? Why some people have to rent places to sell their foods when others can just come on the sidewalk? And she's right. Somebody want to buy, you have a line, people are talking, they're not, the additional food, there's no running water, they can't wash their hands, it's very unhygienic. People are not seeing that until somebody gets sick. They're gonna say, oh, the government allow people to sell things down there and they know they're not even regulated, no running water, people just getting sick. It only takes that for people to start to blame the government, and they themselves would have gone and they would have done the same. They've supported, they've patronized, and these are some of the problems that we're having. Back to the trucks that are not there. I was explaining what the procedures were. And so we have another caller. Let's take this call. Caller, you're live on your views.
Yeah, good morning, Sandra.
Hi, good morning.
No. Yeah, ba? No.
Hello?
Yeah, good morning, Sandra. Good morning, Sandra.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, politics here.
Hey, Mr. Politics.
Now, Sandra, I am here listening to you. And you are so right. If we don't put with this blind, foolish politics, we, as citizens of this country, we will never reach nowhere at all. Sandra, this government, we ain't saying that government perfect, and when they're going to do everything right. But Sandra, since this government gone in, they do things that no other government is think it ever do to the ordinary man and woman in the country. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And when I listen to some people who the government is trying to help under this pandemic, oh, Lord of mercy. Sometimes I feel to bring water up near you. Some of them parents benefit, some of them children benefiting, some of them even can't get the parents them nothing. But because the party not in government, and this government is doing what they're doing, or everything they do wrong. Ignorance. And it's time for this stop now. We got to see ourselves as brothers and sisters. And apart, we like a government every 5 years. And if the government function and do what you got to do for the ordinary man and woman, I do not see nothing wrong if they go back to the poll and elect this government. Look what we went through in the past, Sandra. We went through so much difficulties, can't do your debate. We went to the IMF. We had a pandemic. And all these things take place for 20 years under the farmer administration. Sometimes we got to put the politics aside, you know.
Yes, let's do that.
Bring
the facts and take out the politics. Because the facts are the facts. It doesn't have to have politics in there.
The politics have to come in sometime when things happen.
Just, if you talk the facts, then let the chips fall where they may. Talk the facts.
Look, Sandra, government got the hospital, they got the school, they got the prison, they got most and many institutions to look after. Them and non-trafficking government to make money off of. The government don't make much off of them. You understand? Mm-hmm. And you find that this government is trying to do the endeavor best. Look at the thing, the exam. Right now, the sitting exam, the school exam, they're trying hard their best. All of the country closed down. They were still going and picking up the children and carrying them down to the various school, whatever. Them who live in six farms to do the exam. And not one of them could come on and contribute to government, no time. What the government is doing. So, I mean, these people who bitter and these people who get help. Some of these people in government are work. And nothing wrong, nothing right that this government is doing. And they are part of the beneficial of the government and doing and getting whatever. And I'll continue to listen. You continue to do what you got to do. May God bless this federation and think it in. May God bless you.
Thank you.
Constructive one thing. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your contribution. So let's start looking at the procedure where they're defending vendors having issues. And it's from us to look at it from a logical standpoint and not where emotions are involved, because that's what it is. That's what we're looking at right now. Some of one of the the criteria for them being there, be mobile. If you have a mobile license, means that you could go anywhere. Mobile, you could park up anywhere, but you cannot park there permanently, and that is the argument. People are coming now; they're pitching tents and they're leaving it overnight to come back the next day. We have another caller. Let's take this call, and then we'll have a continue the discussion. Caller, you're live on Your Views.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you doing?
I am great as always.
All right. Now, what I would like to say, I'm not agreeing with what's happening as to the vendors, because a lot of the vendors create problem for themselves, as you just mentioned about the tents. Because being around, some of the times when they finish with their trash, they leave it in areas which cause obstruction to pedestrians.
Thank you.
Which is not good. Another problem that I have, well, not me personally, what I think the government is doing wrong, this money, the poverty alleviation money, and the stimulus package where they're helping to people, do not send no money to nobody account. Let them come in person so you could identify them.
Exactly.
Because what is happening, people who live in overseas,
getting it,
calling in and congratulating the government how good they be and blah, blah, blah. They're getting money. Because you put money on somebody's account, you ain't seen a face. It's like shopping online. And that's the mistake the government is making, is to send money to people's account. Let them come in person and you could exactly know, see the person ID and say, okay, yes, this check belongs to you.
And then there's going to be a problem because people are going to say it's slavery and people are treating you like slaves.
No. Listen, in these times you cannot defraud the system.
People are defrauding the system.
And
that is why people are having the problem right now.
People who live in here, who need the money, can't get it. There's people who contribute to the system. People in the 80s, well need of help. And you got people who in the 20s collecting a 500 and people in the 80s who can't help themselves, can't get it.
It's the same thing what I'm saying. Government has to start to look at certain criteria for people who are getting the PAP.
What am I saying?
I mean, I agree.
You're creating a lazy society.
It is a needy society, because at the end of the day, you have people who can work, and because government is going to subsidize because you're working for under $3,000. Then if you realize that you are not making ends meet, then you find another job. I used to work 3 jobs.
Listen, you're going to have somebody working for $2,700, and then you're going to give them $500.
$300.
Wait, but then you ain't saying, well, you're going to bring everybody up to par to $3,000.
Exactly.
You're saying if they're making if you bring everybody up to par, you'll have more money to share around.
And I agree with you. Sorry, I didn't. Because
you
if
have
you're
more
right,
to
if
share
I'm
around.
working for $2,700 and the government gives me $500 and I'll be working for I'll be having $3,200. A person who's working for $1,600 and you're getting $500, you're still only up to $2,100. So we're not on. You're still not. The play field is not level. And you're right. And these are the things. That's why you have programs like this. These are the things that we overlook. You understand? We overlook these, and these are young people who can go out and do a second job. I used to work 3 jobs, and I had a child to look after.
And then now they're going to tell you, if for this money now, you have to sign up with Social Security. And if you already gotten $15,000, how long $15,000 could go?
Yeah, but at the end of the day,
children in college.
But at the end of the day, the government cannot and should not. This stimulus package that the government is giving out, I am totally against it. I am sorry, and people could say I'm heartless. Why we support the supermarkets every day. Good times, bad times, they're the ones who are benefiting. Why some of these private sectors can't come together to, like EK did, and with these different care packages that ordinary citizens are doing? Where are the supermarkets who would have benefited over the years and still continue to do so? Why are they not being a part? Look at what Amri's doing, going out, giving out bread, and we're grateful for that. But at the same time, you can't go out and give everybody everything, because there's some people who have been sitting on all of this time. I've looked at foreigners who come in here, the Jamaicans, the Guyanese, the Dominicans. They are working. Why? Because they know what they want. The locals are sitting on the sidewalk and complaining. I used to fight their cause, but now I understand the situation.
But you know the problem? The politicians keep them that for support.
Yeah. Yeah.
The people doesn't understand. If you try to make yourself independent, the political life has not have a short span. So they keep you poor for you to come begging them so that so the political lifespan is longer.
You see, and
That's the main thing.
You see,
because you always have to go begging. Okay, look at the low-income homes. Someone who has applied for land and they could go to the bank and get a mortgage to build a home, they give them a house. Someone who can't afford to build a house, they give them land. So you always have to keep going back to them.
But let me tell you something. It's damn if you do and damn if you don't. The politicians are in a bad situation. There's some of them who really mean well, but because of the environment that we have, the system that we have, it is what it's going to be. It's so difficult. And I find St. Kitts and Nevis, I mean, not Nevis, Nevisians just have them. Because look at the situation. You don't have the same vendor problem in Nevis because Nevis has the rules and they stick to them.
But before you go too far, right, you realize most of the vending problem in St. Kitts is non-nationals.
Non-nationals?
The non-nationals is who created this problem.
Okay.
Because you say in Nevis, everybody has to, it's straight across the board. You can't do this.
And you can't do it. It matters not. Nobody going to bend rules for you. You want to sell food, rent a place.
Because of the support to get in power, you rely on the non-nationals because the nationals ain't have to beg nothing, most of them, and the non-nationals support you. So you allow them to break the rules, bend the rules, twist the rules, and now you bring down the hammer on everybody.
Yeah. Well, everybody, for me, it's not bringing down the hammer. It's sticking to the rules. The rules are the rules. There's some people who
to the rules, but if you're going to promote agricultural products and people go to development bank and borrow a lot of money to go into farming and different products and so on, you're cutting off the supply. They can't pay back the bank.
How are they cutting off the supply? Putting them in the market to sell?
But not even them alone. You have other people who's open down, they put in restrictions on people.
But
I
restrictions,
the people by the square, they're chasing them now.
But if restrictions are restrictions. I come into town, I can't find parking space. Why? You have these big trucks, 1, 2, 3, 4 vending trucks take up this space. I'm paying wheel tax, but I can't find a parking space. I have to spend another $5.
When they went to apply for the business license, did the Inland Revenue ask them where they're going to
No. The inland, and this is what I was saying. If you were listening, they said you have to be mobile. You can come down at mornings and park and leave in the afternoon time, but it's a first come first serve basis. But you have people who are on the side of the walk who cannot move. Their trucks are not mobile. You're not paying wheel tax because your vehicle is not licensed, it's not moving. And you're parked up there, and people who are paying wheel tax can't find a parking space. It's like and people don't have to, like I said, take your emotions out of the situation and start to look at the situation for what it is. The government has to make a decision. There's some people who are going to be disadvantaged. They have been told over and over and over again, this is what is going to happen. You have to start looking for elsewhere to start doing things. But they're saying government is going to move you. They have to find somewhere to put you. Since when?
Well, if the government want to create employment for people, they should make it easy for them.
In 2004, I started my own business. I put a 40-foot container in my yard. Planning unit came to my yard and they come to say that I could not do business from the place that I am paying taxes for. My yard, my land that I bought, I couldn't do business there. Why? The neighbors were having issues with it. You see where they came? In my yard.
I understand what you're saying.
So then, if these are the times you're saying you're going around to make sure, but this is on the government property. You're parking on the streets. It's not supposed to happen. Vendors come in.
System.
Well, right. So now people are violating, and so after a while, you have to come up. You have to be strong. You have to stick to the rules. People are going to be disadvantaged. People are going to have a problem with it. But government has to make that decision, and they have to stick with it. And then you have people who are disrespecting the policemen, and police is doing their work.
But you know why they're attacking the people at this point?
Why?
The state of emergency.
That's not true. Where you all get that
You
from?
can't defend yourself.
How you mean you can't defend yourself? So let me ask you a question.
How much years these people were parking on the side of the
Well,
road?
then let me ask you a question. How you cannot, are they using the fact that it's a state of emergency when they tell you that this is something that's been going on for the longest while? The rules, and I can tell you, Mr. Farrier said, he have been coming up long before the state of emergency. They have been coming up with rules. You all are getting...
Did they ever notice them?
People have been given notices. People have been talked about, talked to.
write to them. Give them a deadline.
Yeah,
Like
the
this
people who have gotten
in
letters.
writing.
I got a guy brought a letter to show me that where they said you have 7 days in order to move this. Where the state of emergency comes in, people have to take politics out of the whole thing. People are becoming too political. Which government? So you're saying the government, because of the state of emergency, there's no law. Government could just come in. It's a dictatorship. Government could just come in and say what they want. Man, people have to. You get your facts straight before you start to talk.
You won't see it this morning, but you'll see it later.
Well, later on, let me
good
wait
day.
and see. I can't
Have a
foretell
good
the
day. You won't
future.
see this man,
You
you'll see
do
later. Have a good day.
likewise. You do likewise. Thank you for your contribution. And these are the things that I have a serious problem with. Why people say things that they're not even aware of? How does the state of emergency would allow government to take a vendor off of the road? I don't understand that. Those statements. You see, there are people out there who are filling people's mind with trash and rubbish. And we are such a gullible set of people that we don't take time out to learn. And that is one of the reasons why black people were enslaved. Because as black people, we always do that. And I say this with no water in my mouth, and we're going to forever be inferior because of the way we think and the way we behave. We suffer from a complex. I think it's in our DNA. People have to stop listening to nonsense and come get information, analyze it for your own self. So because there's a state of emergency, government could decide that they're going to put the vendors inside of the market and take those off the street, and government has to now find place to put people. Well, government, you got to help me because I am suffering. All of us are suffering. So what is government going to do for us, for me then? Let me argue, make my own argument, because I'm not going to fight for anybody. At the end of the day, come back down to you. So what government is going to do for me then? I must walk around with a placard and ask them I'm a small business owner. I've been seriously affected from the COVID-19. I mean, I can't have my truck go because you're afraid that the cases are rising and you have to make that adjustment as a business owner. There are a lot of things that you have to do as a business owner, but there are a lot of things that government has to do as a government. Because the government has to the government has responsibilities. There's sometimes the government will take the initiative because they care, and they will do things that is not part of their responsibility. People have to be responsible for themselves. I have been saying it for the longest while. I have a cousin who is into the airlines, and she's saying the most people who are leaving now are the foreigners. When she asks them the question, why are you going back? Because, think it's having problems. My country is bigger. I can find other things to do. You see what happens? When we are having good times, people are coming. In bad times, they can go. And I've been saying it for the longest while. People have been given opportunities that locals have not been given, and when they find themselves in a situation, they can go back home. Let's go to the lines and take another call. Caller your life on your views.
Good morning, Sandro.
Hi, good morning.
It's the first time I've been calling in, but I've been listening to your show from the time it started.
Yeah.
I missed a couple of days that you didn't around because I tuned in after tea time or whatever they call it.
Sorry
But let me
about
say something to you, Sandro. What you're saying is truth, you know. You know, there's too much propaganda out there.
Yep.
There's too much gangster out there. There's too much people out there who are misleading people and this kind of thing. Now, I have a son who he likes to be around. He don't line with the boys. But you know how these young people do? All of them say the same thing. And the answer is yes, yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday he come to me and he tells me, yes, what a plan to do, yes, what a plan to do. Now, every time they have big session in the park, football and all these things, they put these metal detectors to check out the people who come in with weapons and other things. Now, you know what he told me yesterday? Yes, the secretary coming now. They're putting in the metal detectors to check to see all who got the vaccine. They're gonna know all who got the vaccine now because
they're gonna stick to the metal.
They're gonna tell them who got the vaccine and who ain't got it. I just tell them go yeah.
No, I'm not laughing because I am.
Boy, you're a big boy. You ain't a stupid man. Think for yourself. Make holding people easy. Only go over with the doctor put it in. You can put in something liquid and it turn into metal. So they're going to use the metal detectors to see all who got the vaccination and who ain't got it. But think for yourself, you're a stupid man. Or you stop gather up together and chat nonsense. People come, they put all kind of nonsense on the media, and all you analyzing it, all are you saying yes, 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 and following it, and that is what happened.
It's sad.
Those who could detract people, they go out there, they plan what to say, and they put it on the media because there are not a lot of people out there who are not going to think, who are foolish, and who are not aware, and they mess up their head and mislead them. And that is what's going on in this country and throughout the world.
Thank you.
Now, I'm going to just draw something to you. It's not political. The Prime Minister of St. Kitts said, we must go home and pray and fast. And you see how they take it out of context?
Yeah.
People cannot eat fasting. But the Premier at Tortola, he said the same thing to you. He said people must fast and pray. Go on the knees, fast and
But
pray.
the churches say it all the time.
Tortola in
But
a heavy crisis.
But the churches send you home to do that all the time, fast and pray. When you want something done, you go fast and pray. It's something that's been said all the time.
But it went out of context because he said fast and pray. I mean, sometimes we just say that we're 98% literate. But I don't wonder if it is truth for the things I be hearing. And we don't think. I mean, and next thing again, we need to stop chat nonsense, listen to the news, read newspaper, watch the news on the TV, and the whole world in a crisis.
It's true.
You know, I don't know, the same station you're on, that I got a program link up with Antigua. You know what I heard a guy say this morning? The guy he from Tortola, he used to do something with the government in Tortola. He was on the ear and he said, look, a woman called him. You want to do business. Some people only think about themselves and think about money. He said, the woman called him and asked him, when are you going to open the clubs? When are you going to open the clubs? She turned to him and said, miss, we're in a crisis right now. And you know it, we cannot open the club. She started to abuse, ain't gonna COVID. What COVID you telling me about? I just want to stop it from making money. I just want to keep them people. The fella say he just kindly shut off his phone because he ain't gonna answer because he don't cause a computer. And these are the kind of things that misleading people. And I hear it on another station, the same thing. Thank you for my time. Thank you for the time that you give to me.
Thank you for calling in. Thank you for your contribution. We are really out of time now, so we can't take another call, but I'm going to leave this with you. There are people who are out there who are propagating all kind of nonsense. It is true. And you look at these people and you're wondering why. These are people who used to benefit on the previous administration. And I can say it, and people can say what they want, is my opinion. They're not getting what they used to get. So on the then, you never used to hear them. All of the wrongdoings that were going on, they were not doing. I have not benefited under any. On the PAM administration, the Labor administration, and the Unity administration. Under the PAM administration, I was working for the private sector. Under the Labor administration, I've been working for myself. And under the Unity administration, I'm working for myself. You have to work. At the end of the day, your responsibility is to make sure that your family is fed. The government that's not the government's responsibility. The government is trying a lot of things. The PAP, the Poverty Alleviation Program, these stimulus packages that they're putting in place. And I think that instead of doing a good deed, it is making us to become too dependent. We have to start to look and see what we can do for our own selves. I feel for the vendors. I do understand your pain, but at the end of the day, I've tried many things, and when I realize it's not working, I try something else. Because sometimes you rent business places. That's where the government has to start to look at control, because those rents are really, really, sometimes you're working for the people who you're renting from. We do understand that. But we don't have, everything doesn't have to happen in town. If you're doing something and it is good, people are going to find you. It's on developing your skills of marketing your products. People are going to find you. Being mobile is the easiest thing. Get a number. People are doing it now. That's what the world has come to. Where you call in, you have your stuff out there. People know where you are. Your prices have to be, people should be able to buy your stuff. I have been buying from those vendors on the street. A pound of potatoes for $5. I was shocked out of my wits. I call this guy who sells potato. It's $3.50. So you're not paying electricity, you're not paying any utilities, and look at the prices that you have. And you've been doing this for years, and you're telling me that you're not making a profit for you to move forward. And these are the things that people are saying, oh, they're poor people. So how much longer are we going? All of us are poor. All of us try to find some means and ways of making ends meet. But at the end of the day, you are selling to poorer people than you. But look at your prices. People are willing to go home and take stuff home for them to spoil and throw them away instead of selling them for $2 in opposed to $5 or $3 in opposed to $5. This has been happening for too long. I was a victim because I used to have to buy these things to go in the market. Start to make sure that your prices are competitive enough because everybody's in there selling the same thing. But then make sure that your communication skills are on par because it's about customer service. There are a lot of adjustments that we have to make. And if we continue to be who we are, we're gonna be left behind as part of what is happening in the entire world. We are definitely out of time. My name is Sandra Quilly-Atherton. It was a pleasure being here, and I look forward to doing this next Friday, same time, same place. Stay tuned with WinFM 98.9. Voices is up next.